Ducklings. Welcome back to another Out of Office with your work mom, Arlyne. And
And you work on Jose.
we love spending time with you. Thanks for taking a few minutes of your day to hang out with us so that we can talk about all things around your career path and challenges and scenarios that you might encounter as an early employee or a rising talent superstar in your organization. Um, but before we get into all of that, Jose, how you been?
Living the dream. It's been good. It's been good. I can't complain. I really can't. Things have been. I've been having a lot of conversations. This "Hey Work Mom" thing is really starting to blow up. People are starting to recognize me and go, "Hey, Work Unc," instead of calling me Jose. And
Yeah.
I was actually having a conversation with one of my family members who's starting a brand new job, and they were like, "Well, just starting a brand new job. I don't like treating it like the first day of school." And I was thinking back to my first days of my most recent job, and I'm just like, yeah, it does feel like that. It's like you're trying to find out where all the cool kids are and how things work, and trying to figure out your way through the office politics. Do
Yeah.
you remember your first days and what that was like?
Yeah, every first day I've ever had, school and work, I remember clearly because it's always the same feeling. It's always the same, like, oh, I don't know anybody. And maybe the one or two people that that you do know, they don't necessarily have all the time or all the answers. And then I know, like, sometimes I think about, like, oh, what do I do when I'm not doing work or in class or whatever, like trying to your point, like, do I eat lunch by myself? Do I try to find the cool kids? Like, it just is a weird, awkward phase. And I don't think that ever changes, to be honest. I mean, you experience that in school and then, and work, whether it be a new project or whether it be a new job. I think that feeling always is there. So that's a really Oh, that's a really good trigger, if you will. So maybe it's
Yeah.
a good conversation for us to have today. What do you
Oh
think?
yeah. About trying to find your work tribe, your people that you're going to be working closely with and collaborating with and trusting for the long term, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great term. I like to use that. I know you and I've used that. I mean, your work tribe. I mean, I think we've got relationships, in different areas of our life, but sometimes we don't talk a lot about really kind of formulating that work tribe. And how important that is. My mom, she used to say this thing, "Birds of a feather," which I know is like a really big, popular Billie Eilish song right now, but she, or maybe it's not so popular anymore. Gosh, but long short of it is that my mom used to say, "Birds of a feather flock together," and it used to drive me crazy because I, as a teenager or someone like just kind of listening to mom, I'm just like, okay, I don't even know what that means, but okay. But I think it took me a long time to really realize it wasn't until got much older that I realized that what she was trying to drive at was the people that you surround yourself is really kind of a reflection of who you are, or at least how you're perceived. And that really stuck with me once I realized that that's what she was trying to instill with me. It's a hey, surround yourself with people that will help you grow, but will also um, really kind of increase your value in terms of how you're perceived. Um, I don't know if you felt like that or you've heard something similar to that.
I mean, when we worked together, you were part of my work tribe, and
Yeah,
I was
you
very
still are
grateful
my
for
work
that.
tribe.
But I think about that and go, work relationships are some of the most important relationships that you could possibly have because they provide support in an area that there's a lot of uncertainty and you're not in full control. It's a place where, you know, there's a lot of unknowns and things that you're just not aware of. You're probably not privy to a lot of conversations. So the right support can be instrumental to your growth and keep you aware of what's happening within your job or your area, or even other parts of the company where you want to keep at least you know, uh, an ear to the ground to understand at least a little bit more what's happening on that side.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, is really important to kind of step back and think about it. Humans are really, wired to be social creatures in many respects. And, sometimes they're the labels, right? Extrovert or introvert, or sometimes ambivert. I mean, you know, if you're an extrovert, maybe you kind of seek, to get your energy from around people. And if you're an introvert, maybe you just have a tighter, closer knit group of people that you can trust. But somewhere in between, is really kind of the right balance, not only in your personal life, but in your professional life. But the whole point of that is whatever works for you is okay. It's just really important that when we think about, you know, the work day and your work tribe, I mean, you spend, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours doing work, focusing on work, thinking about work. And if you're gonna if you're gonna get through the day, if you're gonna get through that experience, finding people to surround yourself um, who value you, but you also trust in terms of kind of sharing ideas or even just letting off steam is really important because uh, nobody says that work can't be fun, so
Yeah.
um, I think that's really important to think about.
No, I agree with you completely. Work mom. I mean, just think about it. You spend a good portion of your day with these people. You probably spend more time with them than your own family members on some days.
Yeah.
So these people are important to you, and they keep you sane when things are going crazy. Uh, bless you.
Thank you. And they
you
bless
know,
you. Three, two, one.
exactly. Yeah, so they keep you sane when things are going in, crazy, and your work tribe can make you aware of what's happening and may not be aware of, but they're also there to teach you about how to conduct yourself in your work environment. They teach you the norms. They keep you kind of grounded and making sure that you're playing on the same level as everybody else that needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think about when I think about like the work tribe, I like to think about it at least in three dimensions, right? I mean, it's just like you have friends and relationships in your personal life for different things. I think when we think about your work relationships, you should also look at it from the lens in terms of how do they make up your experience or your tribe, if you will. So, I mean, first, I think there are some relationships that you establish that really kind of help guide you or coach you or mentor you. Sometimes that is assigned to you when you first start, or sometimes you just gravitate towards somebody who knows a lot of things. And I know we've talked about in different videos in terms of, asking for help and finding people to help you or whatever. And so sometimes that naturally becomes part of your work tribe or your work network of people that really kind of stay with you throughout your tenure there or and even beyond. I know that mentors that I've had in the past are still part of my life 20 years later. And so I think that's kind of the first dimension that I think about when I think about your work tribe or your work network. Um, the second, that I think about, and I think this is where we started was, sometimes you meet somebody who is a collaborator or a thinking partner, somebody that can lean on to flesh out ideas and then kind of give you trusted feedback. Because I know, like, for example, our relationship started, we had projects and assignments that we worked together. And so, realizing that, what, somebody can keep you honest or somebody can, like give you a timeout or question kind of your work or make sure that you don't present something that isn't quite ready. I
Yeah,
think that is really kind of that second layer of work tribe that I think about. And then, and if you're really lucky, you know, and this is kind of the third piece, and I think that, I think about, our relationship, it's kind of bled into this kind of third piece. It's like, sometimes there are people that you just get along with, in a social respect, right? Or kind of at a personal level. You get to know, some of your colleagues, and then you realize there's like we talk a lot about food, we talk a lot about travel, we talk
yeah,
about a lot about our family and things that we do outside of work. And so, again, if you have to spend, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and especially if you're on a bunch of meetings, like, not every meeting starts with, go, go, go. It's like, hey, how was
yeah,
your weekend? And then realizing that it's just like, oh, I actually enjoy you socially as a person, and now we can establish a friendship. And that's, for me, that is like the trifecta, if you will, of a perfect tribe for me is a mix of people that I can go to and help guide me in my in my personal journey, but then people who are thinking partners that I trust that, can keep me honest and really kind of help me grow and think about things differently. And then, oh, by the way, the added bonus is that, hey, we're friends, like, and I actually trust you, and we can have good laughs about stuff. So I'm gonna pause there because I feel like, you know, uh, again, because we're friends, you and I also know that I am the more verbose of the two of us. So
No, it's perfectly okay. I get it. I've been lucky to have some really good work friends to be part of my tribe. These people have helped me with my growth, and I'm indebted to them for that. They've pushed me when I needed it, and they consoled me on when things didn't go my way, and that's happened quite a few times. Trust me when you will need the support from people who you work with, just because they are some of the only people who will understand your work situation. Trying to explain this to your significant other or family members, they can't fully grasp the gravity of the situation. Sometimes these work friends bring valuable perspective. When I was young in my consulting career, I got myself into a jam, and a fellow tribe member saw my struggles, gave me valuable advice that I needed to hear in that moment. Had I heard it maybe a week later or a month later, it wouldn't have resonated, but I needed to hear it in that particular moment. He was relatively new to the company, but he had valuable work experience and was once in my shoes. He understood completely and told me exactly what I needed to hear in that moment. I'm extremely grateful for that and many other moments like that with other tribe members that I've had and that I've been able to at least impart some wisdom with over the years. So,
I love that because I think that, for those of us that have been working for a long time, that resonates really well. And when you're at the beginning of your career or you are at the beginning of a new job, like sometimes, it's going back to what we said about first day of school, trying to figure out like what table to sit at or, what to do in between classes, or in this case, in between work task is really the challenge. But every day becomes an opportunity to have a discussion or to meet somebody new. And just like anything, it can happen instantaneously or it can happen over time in terms of really figuring out who those trusted relationships are. And I get it. Like sometimes you are not sure about whether or not to bring somebody into kind of the fold and whether or not you can consider them to be trusted. But I think sometimes when I meet somebody, I think about things like, hey, does this person actually provide sound knowledge and guidance? Is that something that is valuable to me? I think about things like, hey, can they help me grow in my skill sets or grow in my thinking? And again, I go back to, I value our collaboration, our early collaboration, because there are a lot of things that, because we work differently, because we communicate differently, knowing that that is actually an opportunity to kind of grow in your own skill set because somebody works differently than you, as somebody who can become part of your tribe or network. Um, and then, there are other questions that I think about too as I meet meet people along the way. It's like, do they bring positivity and energy, to my workday? Because, half of your day is spent working or thinking about work. And, I think it's really, really um, difficult sometimes when you have challenging coworkers. But if you've got a friend or a colleague or someone on your team that, I mean, you can grab a coffee with, or you can at least have a timeout with, and that brings you a little bit of energy and positivity, maybe that's somebody who becomes part of your tribe. Um, and I think, I think more than anything, it's in your gut, do you feel that they're authentic with you? Sometimes, it becomes difficult to really understand the difference between someone who is really kind of doing their job versus someone who really is looking out for you. And when you find the people who are looking out for you or who are authentic, that becomes a differentiator between, than a coworker versus someone who becomes your work tribe. So there's a lot of different ways to kind of shake that up, but a lot of it is gut and really just kind of figuring out over time whether or not they fit your vibe, right? So
No, I totally get it, and I think about that, like, new team members join your company all the time, right? If
Yeah.
you're at a big company, you're doing orientations probably once a month or once every couple of weeks, depending on how quickly you're bringing people on, right? I think about that, when you're welcoming new people to your tribe, welcome them with open arms. When new people join your team, they will need a set of work friends to help ease their transition. Whether they fit in with your tribe over the long term, you'll figure that out together as a group. But build and nurture these relationships. Create safe spaces for others, just as they were created for you. Someone went out of their way to make you feel safe, and be able to be vulnerable and open. Do the same. Provide guidance when needed, and overall, just have some fun. It's going to help the time pass by quicker. We work 8, 10, 12-hour shifts, sometimes more. And sometimes you need someone that's going to help you pass that time a little quicker. So
I I love that, Jose. So I think we're at a good point to really kind of drive us home. So why don't you wrap us up, work unk?
appreciate that work, Mom. So, let's take this down. That's all this information. All right. So, one, find your people, nurture these relationships. They're a huge part of your journey. So, make sure you take care of them. Two, because work takes up a major part of your day, establishing solid, trusted work relationships, they're going to influence your interactions and they're going to help your growth. So, don't don't play them down. Three, make sure that your tribe member is someone who can support you and make you better. Don't just let anyone into your tribe. Four, your tribe will support you and provide valuable insight from work experiences or just life experiences. So be open to either or. Some people are going to come with different experiences from different places. So be open to that. Five, welcome new tribe members with open arms. Help their transition to your team and to be an easy one. Be a good colleague. It's the best thing that you could possibly do.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I think that really makes it easy to just really kind of wrap up a few last thoughts. In the spirit of that last bullet, it's like, yeah, find your person, find your people, but then on the flip side of that, let yourself be found too, because you're not always going to be the new person. So you're not always going to be, that person who's looking for their people, and in fact, somebody might be looking for you. So it's an opportunity for you to be that colleague as well. And then also remember, you need different people for different things, guidance, collaboration, sometimes just a sanity check, and so all of those personalities, all of those individuals can make up, different parts of your work tribe, if you will. And if you're lucky, that'll extend to, lasting relationships. Which basically is really kind of my last point. It's you know, never have I left a role where I didn't take at least one or two relationships with me to, just for the long haul. Sometimes you just click with people, and you know, and if they're not necessarily long friendships, there are also relationships that maybe in your industry or in your business, network, if you will. So there's something to be said about not burning any bridges. So that being said, I think that we did a good job in terms of talking about finding your tribe. Work Onk, thank you for being part of my tribe.
And
So,
thank you for being part of mine. I wouldn't be here without you.
so, well, on that note, I guess we should all now just go live our life, and then we will see you on the next one. Thanks, ducklings.